We have a special episode tonight, American Hammers TV. We've got Ben from St. Louis. We've got Brawley from St. Louis, both wearing their St. Louis Blues jerseys tonight.
Go Blues!
And we have the one, the only Denver West Ham, Mr. Scott Davis as well, joining us with his wine.
Hello.
Fancy glass, nice, awesome. We're going to be
Nothing
joined
but
by
fancy. Nothing but fancy.
We're going to be joined by Ryan from the Bayou Ironworks a little bit later too, so that'll be cool. But we're gonna head into that. But real quick, I just need to have someone mention our sponsors real quick.
Would that be
everybody who is watching this video right now, like and subscribe, and use Hammers15 for Strava Craft Coffee. And if you don't, I'll be mad.
Thanks, bud.
That's awesome.
That was Mr. Max, right, Max?
Yep.
Good job. Thank you. He's been begging to do that, so great job, dude. Awesome. So yeah, Strava Craft Coffee. There's a link in the description below. Hit like my son said, Hammers 15 checkout and save yourself 15% until June 30th. One last thing I gotta mention before we get into this is that we have a campaign going on Bonfire. So bonfire.com/American Hammers TV. We're trying to sell some shirts. 20% of the proceeds go to two of our favorite charities. So 10% goes to Isla's Fight, and the other 10% goes to the Dylan Tombides Foundation, DT38 Foundation. So with only 10 days left, probably 9 by the time you're watching this video, please head over there and buy a shirt. There's sweatshirts. There's multiple color options. There's the light blue, the claret, the gray, the black, the white, the whatever you want. There's also ladies' tees in there as well. So please head on over. So I think we're gonna start with let's start with Ben tonight. How about that? We'll start with Ben. Ben,
Sure.
Man, what do you think of now that it's been a few weeks now and the dust has settled and all these rumors are starting to happen heading into next season? What do you think about last season? What are you looking back? What do you feel like? Was it positive? Was it what are your thoughts?
Well, I would say in true West Ham fashion, had ups and downs, high ups, low downs. Going into the start of the season with all the signings and new coach and, everybody's feeling pretty positive, as was I. I thought we were going to go right out the gate, maybe not beat Liverpool game one, but maybe take it to them. And, came back to earth pretty quickly. We lost the first 4 games and we're sitting dead last in the table, and that kind of sucked. But then a couple, maybe a month later, 2 months later, we had that really good win streak. For a while, what they said, Snodgrass was the top rated player for a couple weeks there, which out of nowhere, and which was awesome. It took a little while for Anderson to kind of find his footing. That's okay. He came from Italy, kind of a different league. I'll give him that. Kind of a new defensive scheme. Takes a little time to, get acclimated. I was kind of hoping, we'd score more goals than we did. Some teams just don't put a bunch in the back of the net, and we're kind of middle of the road. We're not going to put up 6 a game like a Man City or Liverpool or something. That game against Arsenal, right around the new year, that was pretty awesome. That was a huge win. Even before that game against Man United, that was a Jose Man United, but still felt good nonetheless. Then things kind of, I think they simmered down for a little bit. That whole Arnautovic deal kind of really put a big, I don't know, if we even had any momentum, that kind of seemed to take the wind out of our sails. If a guy wants to move on and make more money or play for a team that has a better shot at a cup or a title, I totally get it. That's the game. And, I don't have any hard feelings about that. But just kind of the way that it went down, it rubbed me the wrong way. I can only imagine the way that, his teammates and everybody in the club had to feel about it. I'm sure they put on their, he plays, he tries, he's our teammate, we support him face. But I mean, that's kind of a shitty thing to do, that mid-season, to want to leave like that. And then, they took him out of the lineup. And then even when he was back in, until like the last couple weeks of the season, he just wasn't his, the Arnautovic that we had last season. That was our, almost club wide was like the favorite player. But luckily, Fabianski kind of stepped in this season and he looked really good. That was, arguably our best signing. I would think that it is. Before Balbuena got hurt, him and Diop were looking really good. And then after that, Ogbonna stepped in and he looked kind of shaky and Diop looked good. And then there's a couple of weeks where the roles were reversed. So as far as I was concerned, though, Ogbonna stepped in, did great. Sucks what happened to Wilshire. He's just one of those guys that's always hurt, unfortunately. If he's on, he's on. And when he's healthy, that's great. But, it's a big if. Yarmolenko, I was pretty pumped about him. And sure enough, he made it 4 games, something like that, So, yeah, that's unfortunate too. But that's the way it goes sometimes. And Snodgrass stepped in and he was solid. Lanzini came back and he was solid enough. I don't know. I'm still waiting for more from him. I really like him as a player. He can be, almost a world beater, but it's few and far between, if you ask me. And then I don't know. Like as far as the season as a whole, at the beginning of the year I thought maybe a 9th place finish, and then as we were kind of getting towards maybe 2 months left in the season, and that number 7 spot was open. I got ahead of myself and thought, well, why not us? We could definitely do it. And West Ham showed me what was up. But you know what? Still top half of the table. They're still in the Premier League, so we get to watch them. So I'm okay with 10 with new coach, new players, new system. I get it. 10's okay. We weren't in a relegation battle, and that's good. But also, I don't like settling. Like number 10, like that's not good enough. We're a better club than that. So 10 was okay last season, but approaching this season, I'm looking for some kind of cup run or challenge for a 7, maybe even a 6. I don't know, but yeah, we're definitely looking for more this season.
Yeah, no, definitely. We're gonna end up coming back around. We're gonna go like a little rotation here, because I would like to ask you about the upcoming season, and also I'll ask you a couple moments about last season in particular and get your thoughts, Ben. But Brawley, let's get into you here.
Sure.
What about the season as a whole, and basically what Ben was saying? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think Ben was pretty spot on for the most part. If you listen back to my show at the beginning of the season, Tony and both predicted West Ham to finish in 7th, or actually 8th. I believe I predicted 8th, and he either predicted 7th or 8th. So not too far off of what we were expecting. The most disappointing thing, obviously, the cup runs. Going out to Spurs in the League Cup. It's a team that you don't expect to lose to, but you can at least respect losing to them. And then the FA Cup, obviously, Wimbledon, the disaster that was at Wimbledon. And then the other disappointing thing for me was every single time we had a chance to go for 7th, we lost. I believe we had 6 chances to go for 7th place, and we lost every single game, literally every single one. So to have any ambition, like Pellegrini should be a motivator. He should be a guy who's expecting to finish higher in the table, at least higher than 10th. And then to fall flat on your face every single time you have a chance to finish in a European spot, it's disappointing. So if I had to give the season a rating out of 10, I'd probably go somewhere between 7 and 8 would be way too high. I would say a 7 out of 10. So if you're in the American school system, that's a C. Not great, not terrible, but you expect to be doing better than that. So I don't know. It had like Ben said, it had its ups and downs. The lows definitely felt higher than the highs to me, but that's West Ham for you.
It's true. Scott, what do you think, man?
So I've had a chance to reflect on this. At the beginning of the season, much like what Brawley said, I would have settled for not fighting with relegation. We've about 15 years been cheering for West Ham. We have been relegated once. And with the exception of a couple of years, specifically last year at the Boleyn, I've always been a little worried about us getting relegated. This year, I wasn't. I mean, December, we had 7 matches. We won all 7 of them. We pulled in 21 points. At that point in time, I kind of went, okay, you know what? We can just basically screw up the rest of the year and we'll be fine. And there, pursuant to what Brawley said, I mean, 6 chances at 7th place, and we threw every one of them away. I'm happy with the coach. The manager is getting what I think he can out of them. I'm going to go off the chart a bit and say I'm even okay with the board, which for me is a bit of a jump. I don't particularly like our board. I know I have other people who quite like them. That's fine. This is a personal opinion. I'm not unhappy with the defense. I was okay with the midfield, and I was enormously disappointed with us up front. So scoring the season, I'm going to give the manager a 7.5. I'm going to give the board an 8 because basically this year they just shut up and got out of the way. I'm going to give the defenders, and specifically here I'm thinking Diop, Balbuena, Fredericks, Zaba. Don't get me started on left back because I think we're still weak there. And Augie, I'm going to give him a solid 7.5, 8. Midfield, Declan Rice. How can you argue with that? It's a solid 8, 8.5. And up front, I'm going to give us a 1. Wow. I'm so disappointed with our forwards. That has to do with performance, attitude, skill. Most of that 1 comes out of the whole Christmas time saga with Arnautovic. He screwed our season up, and there's a lot of conversation going on Twitter and on other podcasts and other YouTube channels about what do we do with Marco. I've made my decision. I don't want Marco at our club anymore.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Anyway, I think we might all somewhat agree with that. I mean, basically, if he does go, I don't think any of us are going to be sad about it. I mean, obviously, there has to be a contingency plan. If they do get rid of him, they've already gotten rid of everybody else up front, almost pretty much. So I don't think they would do that if they didn't have a plan. I mean, I think Pellegrini has a brain in his head, and I think
yeah, I agree with you. I think Pellegrini's got something cooking. I'm hoping that if we sold Arnie, that we would then go off and get one of the signings he really wants. If he gets more than 30 million pounds, Tim, just to back you up here, buddy, I don't want Mitrovic for 30 million. I want something a lot better than Mitro for 30 million. We're going to
spend that kind of money. Correct. That's my only gripe. Listen, I wouldn't be pissed if we got him, but I would be pissed if we got him for that much money. You know what I mean? That's kind of outrageous. Now, guys, I'm going to ask you all this too. So just real quick, I want to mention that I was over optimistic at the beginning because I know and I have faith in the manager, and I know how awesome this club will be under his guidance once he gets the players and the coaching staff around him that he needs, and the youth players that they come up that he needs. And so next year or two, yeah. But I saw Pellegrini come in. I saw them spend the money that they spent last summer, and I said 6, easy. 7 to 6. I'd be disappointed if we got anything less than 7th. And boy, I mean, that's just me being over optimistic. I mean, I'm always like that when it comes down to West Ham, because honestly, we should be hoping for that every single year, regardless of who we have. I mean, if we have the right manager and we have players who actually put in effort every single game, we should be winning games. We should be finishing 7th. It shouldn't be it's West Ham. I'll be so satisfied with mid-table or just not fighting really. I mean, we shouldn't be. We're fans of a club, and we want the club to win, right? We don't want the club. The whole Allardyce mentality and the Bilic mentality of, we're playing Arsenal to draw. I'd be so happy with the draw against Man United. Why would we be happy with the draw? You play a team you want to win, right? Is that not how games work?
Well, especially against the lower part of the division. I did the math on it. We did okay against the relegated teams. We didn't do great against the bottom 7. We did okay against the top 6. I mean, yeah. I'd take those numbers. Against teams at our own level, we were hit and miss. So we took points at the bottom. We were okay. We took points at the top, which was okay. We didn't compete against ourselves. It was like we didn't show up for those games because we wouldn't get up for it, or we felt it was an automatic win. And Tim, that's what I think, if you look at it practically, that's where 7th place went, when we didn't show up against our competitive level. in the league this year.
Well, I have actually, I've mentioned this. I think I might have mentioned this to Brawley in our interview in the past that I tend to have this little conspiracy theory that it's not really conspiracy theory. It's just I feel that I know soccer behind the scenes. I've had multiple clubs myself, like at the lower levels, but still, national, in national leagues, and we would lose a cup. Not we, but I know for a fact teams would lose cup matches so that they wouldn't have to pay to travel. Right. So at this level, I'm saying, and Lee's mentioned this too before, where why would we want to go win the the League Cup and then have to play Astra Gugu or Astra Gugu again and bleed that money next season when when Pellegrini doesn't have his team yet. He doesn't have the team that he wants yet. So why would he want to jump into European competition next year? Which is also why I feel that they kind of sabotaged almost, with seventh place every time they had an opportunity, because we should have beat Everton. There's no excuse for that. He put out a shitty fucking lineup that game that made no sense whatsoever. Anybody in their right mind knows that he had healthy players instead of Perez, instead of Obiang, that he could have put in that match. The second, it was the game at Everton. Not Everton. I'm sorry, the game at home against Everton.
Right.
But that's my point. So. It sounds crazy, but at the same time, I kind of half believe it. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I'm just saying I'm kind of glad. If that's Pellegrini's plan, go for it, man. You know what I mean? But don't hurt the fans either by getting us so close to that and then blowing the game. Man. We had so many opportunities for seventh. And not only that, Mark Noble needs a fucking trophy. Mark Noble needs a trophy. In order for him to be at the level of Billy Bonds in the lore of West Ham fans, in order for him to get a stand of his own, in order for him to become an actual official legend, because 10 years down the road, once he retires, if he hasn't won a cup or something, he's not going to be as memorable as the others. So anyway, Ben, real quick, who has been linked to another club that you do not want us to get rid of?
Well, so I haven't heard any actual, hey, this club is looking for this guy, but Scott kind of brought it up that he didn't want him on our team anymore, and I can see why, but I do not want Marco to leave. I say give him this season. If he wants to leave after this season, fine, we'll help you find somewhere, but hey, make this season count. We got him for 20, 25. We're like, if we get 30, that's okay. How about you bust your ass and we sell you for 40, something, 45, something. Make it count. Help Mark Noble get his cup. Help us, contend for Europe or something. Show us show us that you're worth that money. That you think that you deserve these high wages from China and that. You deserve to play for a team that's competing in Champions League. We'll prove it.
Yeah, you got to perform.
Help us, Yeah.
I mean, he's got the season that he had this past season, I don't think anybody would want him. I don't know why Inter Milan would want him. And that's who he's linked to right now. Yeah,
and it was a complete 180 because I hate to go back but even farther, but he saved our season the year before, it almost seems. Him and Moyes, I don't even know where if we would have stayed up if Moyes hadn't put him up front and he started putting in goals. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for this past transgression over Christmas time, but I'd like to see him take it to the other teams. Mark Noble's our captain, but get out there, don't pout. You're not gonna you can't play the ball perfectly every time. He likes to pout and get in his own head. Yeah. Get out there, play tough. Fight through it, put the ball in the back of the net, and then, I would love for him to stay. I want him to, start as many games as possible. I want him to be mean, be angry, and I want him to put the ball in the back of the net. We've seen him do it. We know he can do it, so prove it to us.
That's true. Now, what about you, Brawley? If there was one person that you think might be on his way out that hasn't gone yet, who do you think we should keep?
Yeah, for me, it probably. I'm gonna chime in on the Arnie thing.
And that hold on, that includes people who aren't going to make the team in preseason. Probably go out on loan as well.
Sure. Yeah. But I just want to go back to the Arnie thing. I'm kind of torn. I was he really did. He he really annoyed me with what he did this winter. But at the same time, he's by far and away the best player on the pitch for us whenever he's firing. Like Ben said, without him last season, we very, very well could have gotten relegated. But at the same time, no one's bigger than the club. No one's bigger than the badge on the front. I firmly believe that. I would defend that until the day I die, that no one's bigger than the name on the front's always more important than the name on the back. So I would be okay with him leaving for the right price, but I do not want him to stay and then make a fuss halfway through. Let's say in October, November, he starts getting pissy again. That's what I don't want. I want him to. I hope he learns from. If he learns from his mistakes, he's not going to throw any more tantrums. And fine, I'm all on board with him staying. It sounds like X is saying that he is accepted that he's going to stay and that he's actually looking for a new house in Canary Wharf, I think, in that area, which is on the East End. So that would mean that he is anticipating on staying. Which, if he's committed, I have no problem with that. But to go back to your question, Tim, if I was to be disappointed with someone leaving, I'm really not that overly fussed. I'm a big Chicharito fan. I will put that out there. Since day one, I love Javier Hernandez. But it's just one of those things, man. He hasn't been consistently good enough for us. So if MLS comes calling and they're willing to pay over the top to get him, then by all means he can go. But to me, on a personal level, not from a playing perspective, I'm really sad to see Andy Carroll and Adrian go. Not that I think that we should keep them. Especially Adrian wants to play first team football. I've got no problem with someone who has ambition, who wants to get out and better themselves. And as for Andy Carroll, I was Andy Carroll's biggest fan. It's just so sad to see him go down the drain the way he has. Just injuries have caught up with him, and hopefully he gets to go to a club like Newcastle. He gets to go home and hopefully kind of resurrect his career. But as on the whole, though, as far as the dead wood goes, I am not really too heartbroken to see anyone leave at this point from a playing perspective.
Scotty.
Not even Declan Rice, Brawley?
Well, no, I'm saying like rumored, like if people who are rumored to be leaving, I would be heartbroken if Declan Rice left. No, that would be devastating for us as a football club. Even if we got like a $90 million for him. I mean, you saw Spurs when they sold Gareth Bale and they got like four or five players and that did absolutely nothing. And I think Lamela is the only one that's left out of that. So
yeah. The only reason why I asked that is because there has been, the constant little background chirping of like, oh, well, City's looking at him and United's looking at him. But I understand what you're saying. With respect to people who are linked to go away, who would I miss? I'm kind of with you, Brawley. I won't miss anyone. I really think, I had a conversation with Adam Smith from Green Street today. I really think Cullen needs to go away. Either he makes it really early with Pellegrini or he goes. I know Obiang's going to go. It's just a matter of time. I'm not going to miss him. I love what Andy Carroll did for our club. Same thing with Adrian, but you know what? Time's moved on. We have two backup keepers now who are costing us less than Adrian was. So good fiscal management of that.
So that means Trott's gone on a loan for sure.
Oh, Trott.
Yeah, and Ang. Yeah.
I think you're right, Brawley. I think both of them go away on loan to either League One. Trott might be able to play in Championship. I don't know yet. He's young, but he's also very well regarded. So maybe I don't know. Part of the reason what I was thinking about when I asked you about Declan Rice, I was listening to a cup of tea with Gonzo and oh dear Lord, Gio. Thank you, sir. Today, and they were talking about what would happen if Rice left. What would that look like, sort of thing. That makes me nervous.
Yeah.
This is terrible to say because I'm a big Manuel Lanzini fan. I really like Anderson. I love what Antonio has become. I like what a lot of the players bring. I think Diop was a great piece of business. With the exception of Declan Rice, from my point of view, nobody on that team is safe. I think we should look at any offer that comes into us. If it's a reasonable bit of business, sell them. I mean, Diop's going to be expensive, Balbuena, I would want a lot of money for. I do expect Angelo Ogbonna to go away this summer. I do actually. I just, in my heart of hearts, I think Angelo goes. We'll never get rid of Reed. He's got a boat anchor of a contract. So I think we sell Ogbonna. We go find another center back. I can't remember the name of the guy that Pellegrini Husilosa found down in South America, but it's going to be, it'll be good business.
Apparently, center back's not that high of a priority for us. It sounds like they're content with the guys that we have. It sounds like left back and center back are the positions that we are. It sounds like the whole back end really is the positions we have covered now.
Which is bizarre.
I can't. Okay. Jeremiah and I really disagree about this. He wrote a great piece a while ago that was online about how he really thinks we're set at left back.
Oh.
I don't trust Creswell. And Arthur
Now's the
Masuaku,
time to sell him. Now's the time to sell Cresswell. He had a
29.
injury-riddled and head-knocking. He hurt himself in a couple of matches as well. He's like a glutton for punishment. And his performances didn't really justify. Yes, he's a hustler. He's a hard worker. And that's his fault in a way. It's not his fault because, he hurts himself quite a bit and gets himself, rattled. But anyway, he's getting older. Now's the time to sell him. Now's the time to sell Antonio. I mean, at his age, too, if we're going to get any money for him whatsoever, now's the time. Not at 31, 32 years old, right?
Masuaku is not a left back either.
Well, then there you go. Yeah. And I heard Scott talking about that on Twitter like last month. And also... Go ahead. Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Jeremiah and I
podcast too.
Yeah. Jeremiah and I have agreed to disagree. Listen, I love Arthur. I think he's a great left winger. I think he's a great left midfielder.
We've never seen him there.
He's played that role. He might have been signed on the sheet to play left back, but he didn't play it.
Yeah.
And listen, I don't disagree that he had a great end of the season where he played some great defensive. He did better defensive. But that's not his role. That's just like it's like asking me to go run a marathon. I'm a fat old guy. I could probably do it. I might need oxygen and an ambulance at the end, but I could do it. Doesn't mean it's a good thing. Anyways, basically, Tim, to answer your question, who would I be willing to sell? Anybody except for Rice, and who would I miss? I would miss Rice.
Yeah, so that was actually going to be my next question was, out of all the players who have not been linked yet, who would you like to see us take advantage of and get out of here while we can? I mean, to get some money for him. So I know you just pretty much said it, Scott.
Creswell, I wouldn't mind getting rid of Masuaku unless we're going to open up an opportunity for him somewhere else. I'd like to see us sell Ogbonna. I wouldn't be crushed if we sold Antonio. Tim, you're bang on right, buddy.
I love him. I love him to death.
Oh, he's got
a ton of heart, great, but he's not good enough to justify the amount of money we're not going to get for him if we wait another year or two.
Dude, and that's a great economic analysis of the situation. He's been good. We're going to this is the time to strike while the iron is hot. Sell him, get the money. I think Snods can come in and play. I mean, we're not going to get any money for Snodgrass. He's decent.
Exactly. That's why I would keep. Yeah.
And Brawley, I think you said it earlier on. There was a point in time this year where he was the highest rated player in Europe. He's still got skills. He's not fast, but he's got a great right foot and he knows how to cross the ball. So, basically, I'd sell Antonio right now. I'd sell Creswell right now.
Yep.
I know that all the West Ham ladies on Twitter would be upset because they love Creswell and those little shorty shorts. And I'd get rid of Ogbonna. And if I could sell Reed, I would. I just can't see him do it.
No, with Reed, he needs to. I say he goes in January. It's pretty much like they need to. Not they. I mean, everybody not in West Ham needs to see that he can play. He's still healthy. He can actually make it to January, and then he'll be valuable enough to sell him, even for £5 million, dude. I'm telling you, just go. See you later. Just get rid of him because he's not gonna. We're not gonna get a full season out of him. There's no way on earth. But at least as long as he puts a half a season in, get rid of him in January. Goodbye. Thank you very much. He's probably never going to be the same again. But I think that of all of the players we've had in recent history that had long injuries, including the guy that I will mention when it's my turn, there's only one that I feel will be healthy and not at risk for another injury. And I really think Reed is that strong person. His makeup, his body is everything. I think that nasty injury he had, he will come back from. But he's just, in my eyes, personally, he's never been that good enough anyway. I mean, yeah, he had a couple of good seasons, but anyway, that's just my opinion. But anyway, Brawley.
So what was the question? Who would
All
I
right,
miss?
so sorry. The question would be, who has not been linked that you would like
Yes,
to see
yes.
go?
Sure. So I'll chime in on Cresswell was linked with Everton. I don't think he will ever go to Everton because he was a Red growing up in Liverpool.
Correct.
I don't think he would ever go there. So that seems to be the only club that's interested. So and Pellegrini said he's not for sale now. So he's not going anywhere. And now Antonio. Now we as a club have a tendency to sell players at their lows rather than their peaks. The only peak players lately, it's been Dimitri Payet, it seems like, and he was trending down even before he got to that point. We do have this nasty habit of hanging on to players when they're at their height, which some would argue is what you want because you don't want to be selling your best players. So you can make that argument. But as for Antonio, I think you guys may be onto something. I hadn't really thought about that. Antonio had such a strong end of the season. Maybe. End of the season. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's it, though, really. I mean, he didn't have a complete, full, awesome season.
No, yeah. It was just the end of the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And maybe that is the time to cash in on him. Maybe you're right. I hadn't really thought about it. Now, I love him, but is he consistent enough to be playing for a top 7 team? Probably not. So if you're thinking like that, maybe it is time to cash in on him. So, Antonio, I would say I'd be okay with letting go. That would be my guy if I had to pick someone. Maybe Ogbonna again. Ogbonna will be fine. He may or may not go, but yeah, I would say Antonio would be the guy because you're probably looking at 10 to 11 million, maybe if I had to guess right now for him, which I think that would be fantastic.
For which one?
For Antonio.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ogbonna, you're not going to get anything for. You're going to get 2, 3, 4. He's too old now. But Antonio, he's still got some life in him, I think. So, yeah, I think you guys very well may have persuaded me to be okay with selling Antonio.
We spent $9.5 million on him, and he's
been with us 3 years now, 4 years.
Yeah, the transfermarket.com has him valued at $12 million right now. I would take 10 for him. I mean, whatever. I'd take 9. I'd take whatever. But again, 2 years from now, we're not going to get that.
No. Who would have thought us getting $8 million for Fernandez? I didn't see that coming.
Holy cow!
It's
just his age, really. I mean, that had a big factor in it. I would guess.
Average player I saw play for us. He did nothing. And I got a lot of flack for saying that on my show. I thought he did nothing. I thought he offered fairly low end. The ceiling wasn't going to be very high. So I was shocked that we got $8 million for him. And remember Ashley Fletcher? I think we got like $8 million for him too.
Yeah.
Great business.
That was great business. That was. All right.
Scott, you wanted to say something?
I have to go back. There is one other player I wouldn't sell. I would not sell Mark Noble. Sorry.
He would never be sold. He wouldn't allow himself to.
Hang on.
Do
you know how much crap I got Do you know how much crap I got a couple of years ago when I wasn't a really positive Mark Noble guy? Every chance I get, I got to stop and throw in that statement. I wouldn't sell Mark. Sorry, Baz, wherever you are. I know you're watching. Sorry, Baz.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember who it was that we interviewed that said that. They said that, Noble's the guy that he's just a target for the flack when he has one bad performance, but he's always giving 100%, even if he just doesn't have a good game, and no one gives him the credit when he has an awesome game or an awesome season. I mean, because they're just looking, same thing with Kevin Nolan. When we had Kevin Nolan, I mean, it only came out when he had average games. Exactly, man. I'm telling you, the fans really turned on him, and that was just disgraceful.
I was one of those guys. I feel bad for that looking back on it, but I was a big Kevin Nolan hater at the end whenever Allardyce was still playing him when he was offering nothing. But he was a fantastic captain for us. He really, and without Kevin Nolan, I genuinely don't believe we would have gotten out of the Premier League or the Championship that season. I don't.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
And James Tompkins. Anyway, Ben.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the James Tompkins reference.
James Tompkins.
Well done, sir. Tim. Well done.
Right,
I salute you, sir.
Thank you, buddy. Ben. So, out of everybody that we've mentioned so far, is there anybody else maybe we didn't mention that you can think of, or who out of, I don't know, who would be the one that you really don't want to see go that that we've mentioned so far, or maybe there's another one?
Well, who we've mentioned so far, I would be okay with Chicharito leaving. He's got high wages, if I understand correctly, and I
That
think
would be the main
40 a week.
some MLS team, LA, or somebody would probably be willing to pay those wages and get him over, because I mean he's a name in the U.S. So that might help. I'm with you. Cresswell would be the time to sell him. I'd be okay if Masuaku left. For all the times this year that he played defense and we looked at him going, what the hell are you doing? A year before that, the only time we ever were like, oh man, look at him go, was when he was dribbling the ball, taking somebody on, not playing defense. So I don't think he needs to be a left back. I'm kind of on the fence about Antonio. If he did leave and we got a good price, I'd be okay with that. I liked him this year. I think he played really well, like you said, in the second half. He's strong. He's fast. He was a good guy. He could play striker or wing. So it was kind of a good utility guy. But yeah, if they sold him, I wouldn't. I'd be okay with that. Maybe I don't know either. What about guys like who's it? Dangana or Xander Silva? Like if some of these guys leave, does that leave more room for them? Dangana had a couple games there where he was starting, and then you didn't see him for a couple months.
I think that was because he was bang average. I mean, basically, he was non-impressive whatsoever, and that made me so angry that they never gave Holland the chance. And I know that they gave Diangana the chance because Holland got injured, and they just continued on with Diangana. But it looked like every moment that he sat out there, he ran around like a maniac. But again, he was running around like a maniac, not actually playing football, and didn't really impress me much. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I know. I was saying, and I would argue with myself on that point because, like you said, he was fast and he was athletic, but he wasn't that great of a player. And then I'd retort and say, well, it takes some time to get used to it. But then at the same time, you don't have time. Premier League, you better be ready to go. And sometimes that's all it takes, 3 or 4 games, and that's all you get.
It sucks because like Ben Johnson, man. Ben Johnson came in, he had a fantastic game, and then poor guy got hurt, man. But Ben Johnson was more exciting in his appearance as a defender than Diangana was as an attacker. I mean,
no, I'm with you. I was hoping for a little bit more, but I don't think there's anybody that's been linked. And I will say I hate transfer season because every single day there's 5 new guys going, 5 new and
that's what I wanted to allude to. That's why I was trying to ask your guys' opinions first, and I also want to throw out there the guys that hadn't mentioned yet, because what I'm about to say is, X had said it on one of his podcasts that leading maybe like a couple of weeks before the transfer season started, was just don't overexcite yourself, don't believe all the bullshit, because look at what's happened so far, and what he said is just rang true. The 2 signings that we had were not mentioned whatsoever. Everybody we've been linked to so far supposedly has not even come close to signing. So again, we keep hearing about Mitrovic and Gomez and Gomes and so on and so on. I don't think we're going to sign any of them. I don't think we're going to even look at John Joe Shelby. I don't even think anybody. I know X has said, okay, well maybe people are looking at him, but then people take that Houston Lois and Pellegrino looked at him as, okay, we're linked to him, we're going to sign him now. Just because they look doesn't mean, or they inquire, doesn't mean they're even gonna do it. I mean, they also have to wait for certain people to get sold before we can even have certain money to be able to buy certain players that we're supposedly linked to. So again, knowing the British media, I mean, it's all bullshit. So I'm looking at, they also said that we're not selling Cresswell. They said we're not because Everton made a bid and they shut it down immediately. Well, that doesn't mean we're not going to sell him. Just because they shut that bid down immediately, it means that he's a Liverpool fan, doesn't want to go to Everton, and is probably in his contract somewhere saying, do not sell me to my most hated club. You know what I'm saying? It was like selling Noble to Millwall or something like that. It's in his contract. He can't go to Millwall. So they shut it down immediately. What's that, Scott? What?
You're muted, Scott.
I was saying that was heresy. That was heresy right there.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point. Is that I think that Antonio. Yeah, it's I can't believe that Pellegrini is short-sighted and sees that Antonio had a great end of his season and thinks that, okay, well, he's indispensable. Because that's what the fans will think too. I mean, for the most part, he had a great ending of the season. That doesn't mean he's going to kick off next season and kick ass and he's going to be awesome. No, it means that if, like Scott said, if the right buyer comes in, if fucking somewhat relegated team, right, down to the Premiership comes in and they still have some bank and they decide, hey, you know what, we're going to make a big bid. We're going to bid $10 million on Antonio because he's just energetic, he's muscular, he'd be great for championship, he's, you know, a hustler, blah, blah, blah. And they do that, then they'll probably take the damn bid. But I don't know. And same thing with Cresswell. I really think that whole, just don't buy the whole, they're not going to sell him just because he didn't go to Everton. I mean, they turned that down right away, I think. Now, what's his name? We mentioned him, McMessy already. Yeah, Snodgrass. They're definitely not going to sell him. He's not even an option. Now, I know, what was your name, Scott? You said something about Cullen, right? About going on loan. Who said Cullen on loan?
No, I said sell him.
Or sell him. Okay. I don't think so. I think that, I mean, I've watched some of the Charlton games, and I know it's League One and all, but he was a class above. I mean, he really was. It's kind of like, you guys, I don't think that he should go on loan. I think we should keep him. I think that he does have a place in the bench, and I'm so sick of us being linked to midfielders when we have decent midfielders already. And I really think that he is one of them, and I know that as a winger, Nathan Holland he's going to blow everybody's fucking mind. I really believe that. Once we actually get to see him play on a regular basis, he's going to really just shine. My problem is that the guy that I really want us to sell, that you guys are probably going to be a little either shocked or whatnot, I really don't know. We need to sell Lanzini. We need to. Chicharito has to go only unless we can actually bring in another central attacking midfielder that can play on a consistent basis at a class above, like a Nasri. Nasri was a class above. He only played a few games, but when he played, he was a class above everybody else. He was used to playing for a Man City. He was used to playing at that high level with high-level players around him, and that's what Chicharito needed. When Chicharito and Nasri played together, Chicharito got his service, and therefore he started, he had a few good games. Those few games that Nasri was in there. And same thing with, Anderson is a class above everybody else. Yarmolenko is a class above everybody else. He's a class above the Snodgrasses, the Nobles, the Antonios, the Obiangs. It's like you're talking Allardyce signings compared to, Man City signings. Or I'm saying like the class level of these players compared to what we currently have. I mean, there's a big difference, especially when they play with each other. I mean, it's like... I don't know. It's like Messi playing with under 12s. Messi plays with the under 12s. He's not going to, the kids aren't going to take the passes the right way. They're not going to make the right runs. They're not going to do Messi can't be Messi around a bunch of 12-year-olds. You know what I'm saying?
Is your argument that Lanzini is your argument that Lanzini isn't consistent enough? We don't have the players around him?
Sorry, I didn't get to that point. I'm so sorry. The point is that Lanzini, after his injury, he did come back all rusty, and he's not. Now that he's started to get his health back, he still wasn't 100%. He was not the same. He's lost either his steps or his touch or something. He wasn't 100%, and he made simple mistakes. He did have a few flashes of good stuff, but then he'd make stupid little, give the ball away mistakes. And I'm like, that's something that who was it? Who does that all the time? Who the fuck was it? Antonio? No, Fredericks. That's what Fredericks does. Fredericks is a great defender sometimes. He's so fast. He's the fastest guy on the pitch. He gets there, but God forbid he has the ball at his feet. He cannot pass to his own fucking teammates. He can't head the ball to his own teammates. I swear to God, go back and look. I'd say 90% of the time, I swear to God, it was ridiculous. I would watch the games. Never got more frustrated with anybody as I did Ryan Fredericks because he couldn't pass the fucking ball to his own goddamn team. But yet he put himself in good positions where he almost he almost got it going. Yeah. But anyway, Fredericks. So what was I talking about again?
You were talking about Lanzini. So let me throw in something. So hang on. You know that Lanzini's been offered another 5-year deal.
What the fuck?
Oh, but it gets better. If I recall, X talked about him being offered this deal before he came back from injury, and he still hasn't signed. That's interesting.
You know what else is interesting? James Tompkins got a 5-year deal. in 2015. And after the bowl-in season, they said, see you later, bye. They signed until 2020. They gave him a contract until 2020. Where's James Tompkins? They got rid of him right after they signed the fucking contract.
I would bring James back. Okay, Tim, just so you know, in case you're ever wondering, I would bring James back, like right now. Lanzini.
Yeah, more clean sheets than our team did. Just saying.
Yes, you told me earlier today. Yes, I understand. I've learned from the master. Manuel Lanzini is probably one of the most talented football players I've ever seen pull on the claret and blue. He has physical skills. He understands how to move the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He had a terrible injury last year, and he didn't make the Argentina squad this year. Mm. I'm slightly concerned right now that we don't have him locked up to sell or to keep. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. Do I think that he could come back and be great? Sure. On
a regular, my concern is like the reason why I was saying like Reed can come back from a long-term injury because he's a physical specimen. I mean, he's the big, strong dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lanzini is this little tiny elf, and a little tiny elf broke his little, his little leg or whatever, and he's not strong. I don't think he's going to be the same. Is my point. I don't think he'll ever be the same. So I'm saying get rid of him and make as much money. Again, get rid of him while you can, type of deal, instead of wait and have him expose himself as not as good as everybody or used to be.
Well, the funny part is, you know who his biggest supporter is right now? Is Messi. Messi loves Lanzini apparently.
Yeah.
So hey, you know what? If we can sell him to Barcelona, trade him. Barcelona. Who do you got that you don't want? We'll take him. Anyways,
we're looking at Ceballos, weren't we?
Andre Gomez, but he's not coming.
Yeah.
Andre
Anybody
Gomez
who
got
wants to go to Everton, fucking go.
Well, it was a good story. It was a good story for him that they helped him out this year, and he feels indebted to them. So I can't hate on anyone for that. By all means, if you want to go back to where you spent this last year, you're familiar there. Then there's no skin off our back. I mean, we shouldn't hold that against him, I think.
Yeah, apparently they really helped him out. It's some not mental condition, helped him mentally and helped him with his family and stuff. And I mean, Brawley, I think you caught right on there. I mean, he feels like this clip went and loved on him. He wants to go back and love him. So I think you're right.
Yeah. You can't fault anyone for that.
Yeah. The long story short of it all was, I was also mentioning Chicharito. I know I was going all over the place there, but I'd say something and all of a sudden something would trigger something else that I'm passionate about. And I'm like, wait a minute, let's go there. No. Anyway, Chicharito in order for Chicharito to stay around and actually be successful, he needs a high level class players who can actually give him the service. And the guys like the Snodgrass and the Antonios and the Obiangs and the Nobles and the so-ons can't do it. But yet the Andersons and the Yarmolenkos, who obviously didn't play enough, and who knows if he's going to ever come back 100%. Maybe, we don't know. We haven't even seen a single match out of him since his injury. So again, Chicharito, massive wages. But I think Chicharito could have been fantastic if he had a healthy, high-level squad around him like he did at Manchester United. That's when he did well there because he had top-class players, not West Ham United players. You know what I mean? So, but now it looks like since last season, last summer, it looked like the signings that Pellegrini was making were those. He was trying to get those high-level, top-class, players. The Andersons, Yarmolenkos, et cetera, and even sign Nasri. And Nasri, even though he's getting older and so on, he barely played any freaking games. I mean, yeah, he's still a class above, and that was a Pellegrini thing, And Jack Wilshere, Jack Wilshere on his game is one of those top-class players and so on. And he's trying to get rid of the deadwood, the Andy Carrolls, who again, he's like a Jack Wilshere but 8 feet tall. Pretty much, and but again, we don't play that direct football anymore, so it's just not a good fit. So he had to go, and Adrian, poor guy, man. I mean, I love him to death, and I really felt that he got the shaft. But the funny thing is, I mentioned this in the show too before. He was the reason Juicy got the shaft too. If you guys remember when he came in, he pretty much pulled a Randolph, pulled a Hart. The same shit ended up happening to Adrian over and over again that he ended up doing to Juicy, which was taking over his spot when I thought Juicy was doing just fine. Obviously not a superstar by any means, but he was doing a good job. But anyway, club legend. Ben, what are your thoughts on all that bullshit I was just rambling about?
I never really thought about Lanzini going, but Scott made a good point that, I mean, yeah, you do want to lock him up under some kind of contract so you can get something for him. If you were to sell him.
What's he got left on his current contract? Do we know? 2 years? 2 years. Yeah, that's interesting. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good, man. And yeah, I mean, what he did tear his ACL or MCL. I mean, that's a tough one to come back from. Every time you stop or make a cut, you think your knee might pop off. But yeah, he's like I said earlier, when he's on, he's great. But yeah, he's inconsistent. So if I don't think it will happen, but if they were to say, hey, we sold Lane, I'd be like, oh shit, that's crazy. But I mean, it wouldn't upset me too much. Go ahead, Scott.
Sorry, he's only got 1 year left. My apologies.
1 year? Oh, okay. And yeah, Chicharito, yeah, like I said, I'd be okay with him leaving. I hope Yarmolenko can come back. To at least to where he was. Hopefully it's not the same deal. From what I understood, like he was practicing those last couple weeks, and I was glad they didn't rush him back because there was really no point. No. So maybe that's what they were kind of anticipating, that, hey, let's not fuck this up and do anything wrong. Let him get through his rehab, and he's got.
You want to know why, though? The reason why is that out of all the players that Pellegrini signed in the summertime, he was the only one with a healthy injury track record. No, he has an injury history, pretty much. So he was the only one really that has had some injuries in the past. Now,
and didn't the board just want him for 1 year, and then didn't the board just the board only wanted him?
Who's that anyway?
The board only wanted him for 1 year, right? The board only wanted him for 1 year, and then Pellegrini said no 2, right?
That's right. Yeah. I'm gonna mention off some other names that we have not mentioned tonight and see what your thoughts are. I'll start with Ben, I'll start with you, man. I'm going to mention 4 names, and I want you to give me your thoughts real quick, kind of like a real rapid fire. We have about 10 minutes left, okay? So we got Sam Byram, Carlos Sanchez, who was it? Jordan Hugel, and think for
Hugel's going to Madrid. Remember that, Tim?
He's going to Real Madrid on loan, just like Julian Faubert did. I don't know if you remember that, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's 3. Never mind. So, how about Byram, Hugel, and Sanchez? What are your thoughts on them, man? See if I can later.
Scott already did it. They can all go. Yeah, I mean, let them get their chances somewhere else. I don't think that there's a spot, in the team for them, unfortunately. They can go for. I wish them luck too.
All right, Brawley.
Yeah, Sam Byram. I wouldn't mind keeping him around for depth, but I don't think he's going to make the squad if we're fully healthy. So I think it depends on where he's at on wages and where Ben Johnson is, and if he's ready to come in and be a part of this team, the first team, and then. So Byram, if Leeds want it, apparently most clubs want him on loan and we're looking to sell. So if we don't find a suitor, then I guess we'll have to loan him out again. I don't know. Hugel would never made any sense ever at any point. I loved his personality. I loved all the memes and the jokes to come out of Jordan Hugel. So I love him for that. And I'll never forget watching the friendly against Dagon Red, and he scored against Dagon Red. Only time he scored for us was in a friendly. Yeah. And then Carlos Sanchez. Now Carlos Sanchez is an interesting one. Apparently Pellegrini has highlighted defensive midfielder as his number 1 position. Whether that's right or not, he wants someone to play alongside Declan Rice. Now, Mark Noble, clearly he's not going to be the same guy coming up in these next few years. And Carlos Sanchez, who's going to want to buy him? I mean, he's on what, $80,000 a week. We signed him to at least a 2-year deal, so he's got another year left.
How the hell did we buy him?
Yeah,
they both have 2, right? 1, 2, 3. So Byram's signed till 2020, June
Yep.
2020, and then the other two are signed till 2022.
Yeah, it's painful.
And
That's
Byram's
crazy.
Byram,
Hugel till 2022. That's a
Byram's
long trip to Madrid, man.
Yeah.
Byram's on 30,000 a week, and Sanchez is on 50,000 a week.
Wow, I've
Fucking
heard higher numbers for Carlos Sanchez, so that surprises me. But no one's gonna want him, so he's here next year, whether you like it or not. I think. So I'm willing. I got that Wolves game that Sanchez blew the pass back in the second, and we lost that game. I've got that engraved in my brain.
Did anybody in West Ham watch him at Aston Villa? Did anybody watch any footage of this fucking idiot?
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't pretty at Villa. Where did we sign him from? Fiorentina, and he did okay for Fiorentina. I'm willing to give him a chance next season. I think he provides depth as injury cover, but you don't want to be paying 50 to 80 grand a week for a guy that's going to be not making the 7 or the 16, whatever the squad, 18-man squad on a match day. So. But no one's going to take him. I can tell you that right here, right now. No one's going to buy him. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they could all go, and I'll be happy with it. But I have a feeling you'll see Carlos Sanchez here next season. The other two will probably be gone.
Yeah. Scotty.
I don't have Hugel's salary in front of me. I don't know if you saw a couple of weeks ago. I was just trying to gather people's salaries and stuff. And
your spreadsheet, I saw that.
That was cool.
What was hilarious is I had somebody reach out and going, "No, your number's all wrong," and all of a sudden it's like, "Well, no."
I saw Sean from More Than Just a Podcast reach out to you. I think
Sean
was it West Ham Football on Twitter.
No, it wasn't on Twitter. It was somewhere else. Somebody else reached out to me. I got my numbers corrected. I don't have Hugel, but I think earlier on I said, let's see, Winston Reed's on about 60 a week, but so is Angelo Ogbonna. Balbuena's on 40. Masuaku's on 40. Rice, I can't tell you because his contract is impenetrable, and I'll leave it at that. With respect to Byram, see you, buddy. Good luck. I hope wherever you go is great. Sanchez, Brawley, I think you're right. We'll never get rid of him.
Out of the three, Byram was the one I was excited about when we signed him. I mean, he had a good career at Leeds. I thought that was a great future signing, but the other two came out of nowhere.
I agree. Sorry, I'm just getting texts about it right now. With respect to Hugel, he's a lovely kid. Like he seems so excited to play for us. It's like I'm gonna walk out to Bubbles, and we're all like, "Oh, son, you're lovely, but this is not your level."
Just like Julian Faubert going to Real Madrid.
Okay.
He was so excited to be there, but he was so excited he fell asleep in the dugout.
Fell asleep on the bench.
Dude, that's hilarious. I don't know where Hugel ends up. He's not going to play for us. I don't think he fits into Pellegrini's system. There's my nice out. Is that okay, Ben? I said he doesn't fit into the system rather than saying he doesn't have the skills. Is that okay?
Very polite of you.
Thought it'd be okay. Yeah, I don't see any. I don't want any of the three of them there. I don't think we can get rid of Sanchez like we can't get rid of Reed.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with all three. But again, I just I'm looking at this value of Hugel, and for some reason, transfer market whatever the hell it is has him at $8 million. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, no way.
That's
no way.
Nuts.
No.
Is it because strikers are usually overvalued anyway? I mean,
he's English. He's English, so he's got that going for him. So it ticks a box. So I got into this conversation a while ago about Hugel, but he's English and he's a forward, so that he's got two things going for him as far as value wise. But yeah.
All right, guys. Well,
37 matches last year, 6 goals, 2 assists.
Ooh.
This is not a guy who's going to walk in and make us better. Apologies, Jordan.
If you want to hear a cool story, so Anthony Pulis is Tony Pulis' son, who manages my local team, St. Louis FC. So Tony Pulis' son is the manager of my local team. I have a friend who plays for the team, and I was hanging out with him and we went and talked to. We were hanging around, and Anthony Pulis comes over and starts talking to us, and I start talking to him about his dad, and I kind of asked him. I said something about Jordan Hugel, and he replies something to the effect of, he just laughs and it's like, that kid's all heart. But he's just not that good, and that's kind of what the Pulis think about him. So yeah, I agree. I think
It's true, man.
we like him, but he just isn't quite up to standard, I don't think.
Yeah.
I agree. So Tim, you heard from us. Who do you see linked out from our club right now that you don't want to get rid of?
I don't want to get rid of?
Don't want to get rid of.
Like, I honest to God, man, I'm all about just rebuilding and trying to bring some class players in here. So if anybody's linked out, I'm good. I'm see you later, bye. And pretty much everybody who's been linked out. I mean, even Declan. I mean, I would not want Declan to go. I think that would be the end of the fucking club for like 3 years. I think we'd probably get relegated because they would not spend right to get any players back in here. So anyway, I'd say sell everybody and everybody who's not at top level, and let's try to get a top level club. I mean, that's what the board promised us when we moved. They wanted to get us into European level, and well, that should be our aspirations as supporters. That should be our aspirations from the coaching staff, the players, etc. Now, the number one guy that I want out that has not been linked is Fabianski. Just kidding.
Okay.
How's it going there?
I'm out of wine. That was unfair. I'm out of wine.
You're full of hot takes. So I actually thought you were being serious. And I was going to say, did you watch this season at all? Do you know where we would be if it wasn't for him? We'll talk about cashing in on someone. I mean, maybe if you're talking about selling at their peaks, and maybe he is one of the guys.
Profit for sure. We would definitely get a great profit, but again, that would only be if we had kept Adrian. But anyway,
I imagine Arsenal would probably be interested in him, getting him back.
100%, man. 100%.
Do you think they're bitter?
Oh, 100%.
Do you think? Oh yeah.
Oh,
what a year they could have used him so bad this year. Their goaltending situation is so bad.
Leno is
Europa final. They could have used him in the Europa final, man.
Yeah, Leno and Czech just aren't very good.
No.
Brawley, they could have used you in the final, lad.
But no, I really think Antonio and Cresswell, only for the fact I think we could definitely get some decent cash for them compared to all the players that we have, like the Obiangs and the Hugels and all these other people we're talking about. I think we'd probably get more money from those two. I really don't think Arnie's going to go. I would love to see him go, but if we're not going to get rid of Arnie, he is going to stick around. We can be useful if we can wrangle him in. Then we definitely need to make some money somewhere to start signing these top-level class players we're talking about. So, therefore, I think...
And Tim, for the record, I was with you on Lanzini. I am actually in agreement with you. I don't think he's consistently good enough. And he was really disappointing now. And I thought before he got injured, he wasn't consistent enough. So This is post-injury. Is he going to be even the same player he was before the injury? I don't think that he was consistently good enough to warrant all of this hype around him. But I mean, Scott said that Messi's his biggest fan, and he is. I've seen that. I was heartbroken that he went to the World Cup and tore his ACL in training, not even in a game. He didn't even make it to the first game. That's just typical West Ham. That's why I was so glad Anderson didn't make the Brazil squad. I was really relieved that he didn't make the Brazil squad. And that's selfish because I'm sure he was gutted. I'm sure Anderson was devastated he didn't make the Brazil squad, and he probably deserved it. I mean, I don't know. The Brazil team's so damn good. They've got players out the ass. But Lanzini, for me, just isn't consistently good enough. And I would be okay with if you got a good offer come through for him, say in the range of 15 to 20, I'd sell him right away.
Yeah, killing my soul. You're killing my soul.
I agree. I think we could get more of that. I really do think we can get more
off of an ACL. I don't think so.
I do because again, all of the fucking hype around him, man. I really do. I really do. Once he's linked to one team, then other teams are gonna start sniffing around, and that's when the value goes generally up. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think that he's a marketing tool, a big marketing tool. And same thing with Antonio. As much as I want to see Antonio go, I love Antonio. Don't get me wrong, but I think that he's just a marketing tool for the club, and the club loves marketing. They certainly do. yeah. So anyway, guys, I gotta wrap it up now. Thank you guys so much.
Real quick before we go, can I mention something real fast? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna plug you guys too. Don't you worry. But go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead. Well, all I wanted to say is if you guys haven't checked out the latest episode of my podcast, the American West Ham podcast, we interviewed Bobby Madley, and we're trying to get that to be our highest ever show in terms of listeners. So if you haven't checked it out, please go check it out. I think you guys would really, all football fans, but West Ham fans specifically, would really enjoy it because of the detail he goes into on being a referee and the decisions that have been given against us in the past by himself. So that's all I wanted to say. So if you're interested, go check it out on iTunes. We're on Spotify. It's the American West Ham podcast. So thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Now I don't have to. So thank you very much, my man. I was going to. But anyway,
I don't know why I doubted you.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But if you guys are ever in St. Louis when there's a West Ham match going on, two of the guys we had on tonight, Mr. Ben and Mr. Brawley, you can go see them most likely at what's the place again? What's the bar?
Amsterdam Tavern.
Amsterdam Tavern. Awesome. And if you guys haven't watched our interviews, we have pretty much interviewed every single person in this room. So I think we had Ben on first, and then we had Brawley, and then we had Scott. And it's funny because, what's funny is that Scott is actually the most watched. I would say most watched because they tell us only by views and also watch minutes, which I have to convert to hours and so on, so I can figure out how many people are watching. But Scott Davis just all of a sudden went crushing all the way through all the American West Ham supporters as the most viewed video. So you can watch, you can check him up. Yeah, I can't believe it. Kyle from Fresno Hammers had it for the longest time.
The people love you, Scott.
But
they're trying to figure out what I'm saying through the thick Canadian accent. That's all they're trying to do.
I don't know what it is, but listen, it was a fantastic interview. And if you guys are on Twitter, if anybody here is on Twitter, please check out Denver West Ham. And he's a lot of fun over there. He literally, I don't know if he sleeps at all or he texts in his sleep or tweets in his sleep because he's just constantly tweeting.
And you guys, hey, American Hammers TV, you guys are doing great work. I can't say enough about what you guys do. I mean, your goal was to pull out all the American supporters together and talk to them and introduce them and let us build a fandom. Yeah. You guys, Brawley with American West Ham podcast, you guys doing great. Ben, I don't know what you're doing, buddy. Come on.
Hey, he's a magnificent guest.
He's leading the St. Louis Hammers. He's basically taken over for me. So he's doing all that good work with the St. Louis Hammers.
Yeah, well, and I think the two of you guys have really kind of kicked off a bit of a renaissance. I know, for example, Green Street Hammers, we're picking up some more people. I think, Tim, you guys are going to start doing articles as well.
Oh, I was going to get to that. We're actually going to be doing it's crazy, man.
But it's fabulous. And the best part is, so I know you talked a little bit with Dave, and I think, Brawley, you talked to X about it, how there's this competition in the UK for listeners. Mm-hmm. I don't feel any of that here. Like, dude,
not at all.
I listen to you. Brawley, I listen to your stuff. Ben, whatever it is you do.
It's really cool because basically people can listen to Brawley on their way to work or on the way home from work or during their lunch break, and then at during either breakfast or at once they get home from work, they can watch our videos. I don't want them watching our videos when you're driving, please, dear God. But yeah, that's a type of deal. It's a different market. It's a different thing, but at the same time, we offer some pretty cool stuff. We both do. And just to let you guys know, I have to mention our upcoming shows. So tomorrow night we have yet another American West Ham supporters group. Cleveland Hammers are going to be joining Lee and Wayne. I will not be there. We're going to be having Lee do Thursday nights. I'm going to be doing Wednesday nights from now on to add some more shows. And then on Sunday night, we have a very special show. Two of our viewers who have watched almost every single episode live and hopping in our live chat. We have Gabe DeLeon, who's like 16 years old from Austin, Texas, who listens to or watches our 2 o'clock videos when we have those big guests on from the UK during his lunch break or at school. I mean, I don't recommend it, but yeah, he does it. And they're always in the chat room. And then Wally World on Twitter. It's like at Wally World, I think his Twitter handle is.
Is Wally's real name?
No, it's not. And he's like, and he's not. He's not nearly as young as Gabe, and I think his name's Carl. I'm almost certain his name's Carl.
I've always been curious of what Wally's name was.
So we call him Wally, but yeah, no.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have them both on Sunday, and that's going to be awesome to say thank you for supporting us this whole way through. As
Very cool.
even our very first episode, which was just oh my god, it was just me and Lee talking about the transfer deadline.
Oh,
You were not as bad as
happened.
you were not as bad as you thought. You were actually
That
quite
was
entertaining.
our first episode. So I mean, we were both. I'd say I probably said about 7 words, and the other 100 words were So it was crazy because it was my first time ever doing it. But that was a lot of fun.
Hey, I will say my first episode was horrendous, and I had to break the I talk on the phone for a living now. It's part of what I do. And I've had to break the so doing podcasting and talking on the phone. And I still do it. I still find myself saying way more than I should. So yeah, you're not alone in there, and you've gotten so much better since the beginning. So
I appreciate that, man. And listen, I've listened to a lot of your episodes. As a matter of fact, I couldn't listen to your Bobby Madley episode until today, which I did during work on my way home from work, and then when I got home from work until I completed it, which was awesome, by the way. And I was going to say that I was going to tell everybody to go listen to that, but yeah, you guys are doing awesome work. We had Tony on last week, which was awesome. Yeah, so I wasn't there for that, but Lee, I did watch it, and they had a fantastic time. So you guys are doing great work. And real quick, we do have a lot more content coming up. We have some of the West Ham women being lined up. I can't let anybody know the dates and times yet, but we're working on that. Also, we got some confirmation from 2 different ex-players, just waiting on the exact date, which is going to be pretty damn huge for the show. Also, we just launched our website. We're going to be asking that anybody who listens to this that is living in America, you don't have to be an American as long as you're living in America, or you could be an American living over in the UK, it doesn't matter. We want some American Hammers to be contributing to our blog on our website, which is going to be pretty cool. We're going to have a page for Gary. If everybody watches our show knows Gary from South Carolina, from Holy City Hammers, we're going to have a page dedicated to him. He's going to transcribe his stories and post them on his on the page, as well as we're going to have cooking videos and recipes from English, East End recipes on a whole page for him. And then starting next season, we're going to be doing a pre-show that starts in Dallas, and then we'll trickle on to different supporters groups around before the match, like a pre-match show called West Ham and Eggs, which is going to be kind of fun with Mr. Wayne is going to start that one. And then,
will there be eels? Will there be jelly eels?
Gary will be cooking the eels, and that's the jelly eels, and that's about it. I mean, I'm not touching that, but yeah.
You guys tried them?
I love pie and mash. No, I had pie and mash when I was over there, but I would not have the jelly eel.
I tried them. They're obscene.
Yeah.
They're disgusting.
Yeah.
You got to try it once. I've always said I'm a firm believer.
Next time.
You got to try it. Tony refuses to. I can't get Tony to touch. But my dad didn't make me try them, but we went there with one of his friends once, and I took a bite of one, and I nearly threw up. But that shouldn't put you off of doing it. You still need to try it.
100%. I mean, next time, I was so uptight the first time I went there because I went there by myself, and I didn't know anybody over there when I went there last time. So it was a nerve-wracking experience. But anyway, next time I go, I'll definitely have some of that. Now, I also want to mention that, since we're going to be having these women on from West Ham Women, at some point soon this month. Allie, the lady that I had, a girl from England that went to every single West Ham women's match this last season, and she's going to be going to every single match next season, home and away.
Wow.
We had her do a season review episode with us. Well, she's going to be coming on and helping us interview the girls, who she's met them all anyway. And then next season, she's going to do a season preview. She's going to do match preview videos and match review videos and so on. All next season, we're going to have a West Ham Women's page on our website. She has an awesome blog, so we're going to let her do that on her own. Hopefully, maybe we can convince her to get her blog over on our page. But yeah, so we're going to be adding a lot more content for the West Ham Women as well. And this thing is just going to be pretty much turning into a American Hammers and TV network. We're going to have different people coming on, doing different shows, and putting it all together and putting out content pretty much every day. Because our goal is to be someone like, the Hammers Chat or the West Ham Fan TV, where they put out something every single day. But we're just going to keep on going and growing until we're the biggest YouTube channel that we can be. Obviously, yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. This video was recorded, so if you're watching this live, because once I load this up, it's going to be saying it's premiering live, and the live chat will be up. We can't.
Gotta watch that.
We're not reading you. Yeah, so it'll actually be up like less than I'd say like a half an hour after we stop this. But all right, guys, just hang out for a second while I talk to you before. Yeah, we go. Okay.
Go Blues.
Come on, you Irons. Go Blues.
Come on, you Irons.
Go Bruins.